بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Respected brothers in faith, I want to once again on this tragic seventh night to extend to you my deepest condolences on the series of tragic occasions and events. Today marks, this night is a specific night meant to remember the brave Abu al-Fadl Abbas salawatullahi alayhi, the brother of Imam al-Hussein and the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Today, I want to take this opportunity to discuss a very important topic. I'm not going to take much of your time because it seems that today they have a busy schedule, so I'll try to make this very quick. We see in our societies nowadays, and I've touched upon this very superficially before, we see in our societies, especially here in the West, that a lot of the youth are not completing their education. They're not completing their education. As in, they go to school, a few years later, once they finish high school, let's say, or the first, second year of university, they drop out. Why is that? He begins working. He sees himself making 6-7K a month, making some good money, good income flow, and thus he drops out from school. Now, what problems can arise from this? And I want to touch upon a few, inshallah ta'ala, and then I will be concluding. There are a few problems that could result from dropping out from school. The first one is your mindset. You might ask me, how so? How is dropping out from school related to my mindset? Here's my question to you. Who told you education is meant for work? In other words, who has made this law that dictates education or school equals work? Who gave you this law? I personally haven't seen this law. Education, brothers, is for your knowledge, is for you to acquire knowledge. Yes, one of the products of education is work. Why is that? Because when you're educated, when you have the knowledge, people see you as a qualified individual, as an individual who's responsible to be in this specific field or expertise. People study for a few years and they drop out. He's making money, he's happy now. No, that's wrong. If you consider education to be a means for you to get a job in the future, then there's something that you must fix ASAP, as we say, as soon as possible. And this is for you guys as well, for my young brothers. Never think of dropping out school at any point of your life. Because the only way for you to acquire knowledge, I know sometimes when you dig your face in the book, it's very difficult. Equations and laws, but there's nothing easy in life. Trust me, even those who are working, they have complications, whether with time, whether with their colleagues, whether with life expenses. Education is a significant part of our life. Now you might say, well, I'm a person who's making money, okay? And if I need to wait, if I need to study listen to this argument, because I personally heard this argument. If I study, I need 8-9 years to qualify for a job in that field. So for example, if I want to become a doctor, I need 9-10 years to become a doctor. And then if I become a doctor, I'm going to make $150,000. While if I work as a salesman right now, and I don't have any qualifications, I can make $200,000, and I'm 20 years old. We hear this argument, right, Allah? It's a very prime argument. And the answer to this question, who said, we want you to become a doctor if you don't want to become a doctor? Nobody's forcing you. If you need to work, go ahead and work. Do whatever you like that's appropriate. But make sure to at least acquire courses. Go into part-time studies. There are some universities nowadays, online from home, where you can subscribe to 2 courses. You can spend an hour or 2 a day studying. And likewise, studying and working. Study and work. What's the problem? Where is that formula? Where is that mindset that's integrating to us? That is telling us if you work and if you're making good money, then there's no need, man. You have a car, you have a job, that's it. You're complete. That's significantly incorrect. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, there is a companion to Amir al-Mu'mineen. He's a very close friend of him. His name is Kumail. Kumail, one time Amir al-Mu'mineen told him, "O Kumail, ما من حركة إلا وأنت محتاج فيها إلى معرفة." There is no movement and no act unless it requires ma'rifah, knowledge, depth of knowledge. If I'm a person who I'm spending 8 to 12 hours a day only working, how am I going to acquire the knowledge? Now you will tell me, well, what kind of social implications would that have? They're extremely detrimental upon us. If you're a person who drops out, you have limited education, okay? You're going to grow up in the future, you're going to have a family. So you're going to have a wife, you're going to have kids. You're going to build, you're going to start your empire. Because in 80 years, in 100 years from the day you get married, you're going to have kids, and your kids are going to have kids, and their kids are going to have kids. You're going to be an empire. When you are starting a family, every step you take within your relationship, whether with your kids, with your wife, or even before that, with your parents, is going to be based upon your education. The more educated you are, the more you learn, the more you acquire knowledge, the more things are facilitated for you and the steps are paved for you. And this is something that we should not neglect. Because simply, and I'll give you this arguments based on experience. Me, myself, and you guys can make your own comparisons. Me, myself, I look at my father as a role model. My father and my mother. Me, myself. Whatever my father does, I want to do. It's just something within me. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Whenever I see my father happy, I'm happy. Whenever I see my father to be successful, I want to be successful. Whenever I see my father sad, sitting in the corner, unhappy, he has something going on in his mind, that is going to reflect directly on me. So what that basically means is when you as a person become or achieve the highest level of education, or let's say you achieve the standard level of education At least take your bachelor degree. At least. When you reach that state, your kids are going to look up to you as a person who's successful. Do you guys know that education gives you credibility? When you talk, when you say something to your kids, and maybe the fathers right now may notice this with their kids, when they say something, his son says, or his daughter says, "Where is that from? Where did you hear that? Who told you? Did you study that? Did you investigate in that?" When you are educated, the reflection of that education would lay upon your family members in terms of how they would want to be educated and in terms of how you would conduct yourself. That's family. One other point to mention here is the social life. Today, we're here. I'm sure you all have friends that you talk to, that you meet with. Ask yourself, what kind of a discussion do you guys trigger, or do you guys come discuss? Yani, when you sit with your friends, do you begin having a discussion on school, on education, on, let's say, a math equation, a scientific matter, on a social matter, or do you just laugh and have fun and make jokes? Now, that's not saying don't joke with your friend. It's nice to have that smile, right? But having that education socially affects how you discuss or how you talk with one another. This is a responsibility upon every one of you guys. Completing your education is one of the most important things that we must pertain to and achieve. Right? Because simply, you want two things. You want the Ahlul Bayt to be proud of you, and you want your parents to be proud of you. Guys who are here, the majority of you, if you ask your parents how they arrived to this country, they've lived in hardship and war. Go back home today, or if you haven't heard, ask your father, how did you come here? He's going to say, well, you were a year old, or before you came, me and my mother fled this war, or we came from this country because I was under so many threats. A father who went through hardship wants to see his son in the best of statuses. He doesn't only want to see his son's pocket filled with money. If you go right now and you search, the happiest person on earth is not a person who's a millionaire. He's a person who, when they interviewed him, he said, I'm happy because I have a good relationship with I have a family, I have a home. Because you may have a house, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have a home. A family that establishes a home. A family is what identifies a home. So your responsibility is to please your parents first, to help yourself to be more educated, and eventually you will make money. People nowadays in these Western countries, people are coming from different countries to study here. People are coming from different countries to the US, spending money to study here. Ask whoever you want. And we who are here are deciding not to take that path. Do you know how Ahlul Bayt will be pleased with your education? Do you know that Ahlul Bayt want people who are educated to speak to the Western society about who they are? Did you guys know that? Do you know this is a responsibility upon you Not your father who came here at the age of 40 or 50 or 35, who has to work, who doesn't have time to study, who has 2 kids. It's your responsibility. Who's 15, 20, 25. It is your responsibility to complete your education, to have that academical touch in your speech, so that when you're trying to deliver something to those of that who understand that language, you do it in the best of manners. This is a requirement upon us. I believe this is not something that should be optional. We should place it as a mandatory guide upon us. On this day we remember Abu al-Fadl Abbas alayhi salam. Abu al-Fadl Abbas, do you know why he did what he did? What do you guys think? Because of his education. The education of that time. You want to tell me, what do you mean? Could you please connect the dots? His mother, al-Baneen, used to sit with him daily and educate him on how to conduct himself in the presence of his father, in the presence of his brother. Oh Abbas, don't sit next to your brother on the same level. Because he should always be higher than you, because he's more greater than you. Look at the moral virtues. Look at what education and how education manifests itself. Do you know why that education manifested itself? The education, listen to this please. The education that he took from home manifested itself on the battle of Karbala. When he stood and he gave his soul and body as a sacrifice for his brother. Hands chopped off, an arrow in his eye, being hit on the head, laying on the ground. He gave himself. Imagine he didn't have that education. This is the responsibility of me and you guys. You have to work on this. Give yourself the education. When you have something, you're going to be able to give that to your kids. When you give that to your kids, to your family member, you will see that nourish, and you will see the convenience of what you planted with your own hands. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this tragic month and great day to hasten the appearance of Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, our Imam, peace and blessings upon him, and to help us witness the revenge that he will be taking upon the enemies of Abu Abdullah Hussein, the revenge that would please the heart of الرسول صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.